Just gonna give it a couple more minutes, see if we get a few more folks here. I've got a few announcements, so I figure I'll have everybody on that I can before making them. There's Jacqueline. Hey, Jacqueline, can you hear me?
Yes. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Jacqueline.
Yes. Can you hear me? I guess
Oh,
not.
there it is. My volume was off. That was my problem. My bad there. Sorry about that.
Oh,
Okay. I did the career night with Mara last night, and so to not have reverb because we were in the same room.
Oh,
I
yes.
turned all my stuff off. Oh, and then she asked me a question, and I was like, "Do you think I can answer?" And she was like, "Yeah, I muted mine, so it should be fine." And then I started to speak, and then the noise that started coming out of those two computers,
Oh.
the worst. Oh my goodness.
Does your career night go all over the place, or is it just for Eugene?
So yeah, we had multiple areas in last night. Same as like
Okay.
our classes, like so Salem.
Portland comes here, or does Matt do his own?
I don't know the answer to that. I think
just
Portland
wondering.
is its own. Yeah, I don't know that we had anyone from the Portland market on. Only
Because
as
yours is so, it's set up so nice with all of the, you have it so organized that I would think that maybe they could do it nationwide.
seeing those daily emails, Jacqueline.
I hope so. I think so.
Okay, good. Because I had asked them and they said they did have your email.
Yeah.
So they were wondering if you weren't seeing them, maybe they were going into a junk folder or something.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll keep looking. I think they're coming in, and I didn't realize what they were. I thought it was like a whole list of things. But I
Gotcha.
don't think that's what it is. I think it's
Okay.
just when something big happens or something.
It's
So.
just, it should come every morning. It says daily agenda on it. So yeah, if you're not
Okay.
seeing it, just check the junk or the
Do I,
spam.
do I talk to you again, or do I talk to?
Sure. Yeah, if you're still not seeing it, let me
Okay.
know. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So a couple of announcements at the top. You guys probably already saw on the email, happy hour tomorrow at 4. We're gonna do vision boards. So a lot of stuff's gonna be provided, but if you wanna bring your own pictures, I'm thinking they probably don't have a picture of the fifth wheel I have my eye on, so I might bring that, I don't know. So that tomorrow at 4, and then next week, no class mega camps. So the office is gonna be broadcasting, I believe that's Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm sure we'll see in the, okay, yeah, I'm saying yes. I'm sure we'll see more emails to come as far as what the dates and times are for everything mega camp wise. So yeah, no class next week, and then we'll finish up with this program the week after that. So just take, was that it? Yeah. So we'll just take a few minutes to do our accountability, talk about how our contacts are going, if anybody's gone on any good appointments, any new pending deals, we'd love to hear about it. Does anybody want to get us started out there today?
I'll go. Hi, everybody. My name is Daisy, and I'm Eugene Springfield, Keller Williams. I had a meeting with Heather Ducker this morning. I have not had a chance to meet her, even though you guys all met her. I missed that class, unfortunately. So I met with her this morning, and I did a couple walkthroughs yesterday of some vacant houses, which was fun. I like looking in vacant houses.
Yeah, that's great. It's great to get out there and tour homes. Absolutely. Anyone else?
I'll go.
Great.
I have been just so busy trying to get my own house ready. It goes live tomorrow. And so that's been crazy. I'm working on a flyer right now to leave on the island for those that view it over the next 4 days to have something to take with them. I did have a question though on the property disclosure. Do you have to have that available like when people view it right away, or is it like for anybody that makes an offer?
So that can be handled a couple different ways. I like to have my sellers fill out the property disclosures and attach them to the listing in RMLS, so the any showing agent can like grab them off there. They're just out there and available right away. Other folks wait until an offer is pending and then send over the property disclosures once an offer is accepted. You can do it either way.
Okay, I just don't have it ready yet, so maybe I'll work on that tonight to have it ready. Okay, perfect. Other than that, I really haven't made any other contacts. This whole week's been just crazy trying to get things out of the house so it's not cluttered or, and clean. So yeah, anyways, I'm excited about it though. So
yeah, that's
a fun
awesome.
process.
So exciting. Very cool. All right, who else do we have up there today?
I can go next. I made a few calls, again, to friends, just like, hey, did you see my recent announcement about my career? One of whom is interested or considering selling her duplex. So my next step is actually watching the CMA class because I jumped in a little late. And then I want to plan on viewing some vacant properties. And with that, I was wondering, do you text the listing agent? Sorry, my kids in the background. Do you have to tell the listing agent that you're just viewing it as a new agent with no buyers, or just ask them to view it?
You certainly can. I mean, every listing is different, obviously, so I'm not sure like what the message is on the listing, but if it's like a vacant property, go and show, send a courtesy text. I wouldn't say either way. I'll just be like, hey, showing this property real quick. They may send a follow-up text to you. Sorry, that's me. Saying, hey, how'd the showing go? What'd your buyer think? And then you might have to be like, oh, I'm a new agent. I'm just out touring home, something like that. But yeah, I would just say, hey, go and view this property. If it was kind of one of those vacant go and shows, I wouldn't really say either way.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Oh, and you said you're looking forward to the CMA class. So I wanted to let you know because we're going to go a week off and then kind of round the program and then starting over and then to get to the CMA. So if you need some CMA time before we get to that, you can come on office hours. Just let us know and we can do some individual time for CMA.
Yeah, I actually, I texted Mara. I want to get the recording of that class, review it, and then I'll talk to her if I have any more questions or need that. And guys, sorry if there's some chaos on the back of my end.
Totally fine.
2-year-old and a 1-year-old.
We've got a few more minutes. Who else out there? Oh, we got someone else joining.
I can go because I do have a question for you too. So yeah, I've been talking to my barista there at Starbucks about. I know she's interested in the house. She's not a client of mine yet, but I'm kind of bugging her about it because I know she's renting and her landlord's going to be selling her place. So she's interested in buying her first house or her first house. So my wife and I did go and look at a house. Just with her in mind, with the barista in mind. We looked at an open house over the weekend, liked the house a lot. So we talked to her. We saw the barista again this morning. Her name is Jessie. We saw her again this morning talked to her about it a little bit, and then she was pretty interested. So I texted her some photos of the house and a little bit of information, and then texted her a link for my app today. So, and said, let me know. And when you want to, when you're a little more serious about it, let me know and we'll talk and I'll get you started on the process. And I would get together with a mortgage person first and get her started on that to find out what her budget realistically is. So did that. And then my wife and I have a closing on our own house coming Monday. The question I had for you was, in the past, when I've had closings on my own places, we've always done a walkthrough before, like right before we close on the place. They're moving out on the 20th and the Monday is the 23rd for the closing. So I assume that, I'm kind of winging it as I go, because Josh Cooley is the selling broker on this. And he has been watering the place because it's been vacant for almost a month. So he started out watering, and then he was talking to me and he was like, just go over and water yourself. So we have to actually walk through the house to go water. So I've been into the house quite a bit. But there's a lot of stuff. There's still a lot of boxes and a lot of rugs on the floor. I kind of like to see, make sure that, that the floor is not trashed underneath the rugs or something like that for a walkthrough before we end up signing the final papers. Does that sound reasonable to you that I would do a walkthrough sometime between the 20 and the 23rd? And
Yeah, just request from the listing agent to visit the property. Be like, hey, just want to do a walkthrough before we close. Is that all right? And just get the permission first.
Okay.
That's also something that when we're writing our offers, you can allow for that in the contract. Put it in writing that you're going to want that walkthrough right before close.
Okay. So yeah, it's a little late for that. But okay.
It sounds like, if he's like, hey, go over and water the grass, I can't imagine that he'd be like, no, don't do this walkthrough. But
Right.
Just get the permission. I'm sure he'll be fine to go do it.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of goofy because we're going over it like every 2 or 3 days and going into the house anyway to go through it. He's with Keller Williams. He gave me permission. So I guess in a way, he gave another Keller Williams with me, he gave another Keller Williams agent permission to go into the house and water I'm kind of helping out the buyers because if something did fall through.
It's kind of a rarity. It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So
typically that opportunity wouldn't present itself.
Okay. That was my question. Thanks.
I've got a few more minutes. Anyone else go on any great appointments, make any great contacts lately?
Hey, Aaron, I'll go ahead and go real quick.
Hey, Rebecca.
So in preparation for our email campaign that we've been working on that's just about ready to go, the last couple of days I just touched back with 30 of my contacts and had 16 conversations and 1 phone call, verifying their email address and just letting them know that I'm going to be sending them out some market information and stuff. So yeah.
That's great. That's wonderful. I've been pretty much doing the exact same thing. A couple of days I was at an event on Saturday, got a bunch of email addresses and phone numbers, and I've just been following up with people. Yeah, that's great.
Right.
Who else we have out there today?
Can I ask a quick question? We're all silent. I was looking at WVMLS with pre-listings, and there's a great property coming up for sale. I was wondering if it's okay to share on my Instagram and be like, not give the details because I know you're not supposed to do that, but kind of do like a, hey, are you or anyone you know of looking for a property? There's a great one coming up. Would it be okay to post something like that and then message me for more details, or do I have to have solid clients who are looking to buy that to share the pre-listing information?
I'm not as familiar with the WV coming soon rules. Sean, do you have that one?
Yeah, if it's coming soon as a pre, you are not technically supposed to market it, either as the agent, until it's a weird status. None of us like it, but they have it. But so technically no. Do people do it? Yes, they do. But under the MLS rules, I mean, the first question would be to the agent, to ask the agent if it's all right if you share their listing. If they say yeah, go for it, because they're the ones going to turn you in. If they say no, all right, no.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. I'm glad I asked.
So today
Or can I add to this? And it happens all the time, so it's not unusual for you to call and ask them. So don't be worried about asking them, because people do it all. There's several agents in our town that do it all the time that advertise other people's listings. You just got to make sure they're okay with it.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't gonna post the address or the details, but maybe I was just thinking, I know a few people who are always interested in property and kind of hook them that way.
So
You can most certainly send them a direct message directly to them. As long as you're not doing it publicly that way, and that's no problem at all.
Awesome, thanks.
So today for Close the Deal, we do have Sean Keene. Sean was born and raised in the Salem area. He obtained a real estate license in 2007, retired from corrections and law enforcement after 21 years to pursue his passion and dream to help people with their real estate needs. This background provided him with the opportunity to work closely with a wide variety of people of various ages and cultures, and has helped him in his real estate career. In 2016, he and his wife, Kim, made a team, and they formed the Keene Group Real Estate Team, and their business took off. So Sean, take it away.
Hello. All right. Well, to tell you a little bit about me, then we'll go. Well, you already mentioned a little bit about me. My team consists of me, 2 buyer's agents, and an admin. My admin's my wife, and we also have a runner, family friend of ours. She's in high school, and she does all of her running throughout signs, doing a bunch of lockbox stuff and things like that. Let me throw out that I am kind of a hyperactive squirrel, so if I get going too quick, please let me know and I will slow down, but I do tend to talk fast and move quickly. So I'll throw that out there to start with. Usually in class, I just tell you to throw stuff at me, but we don't do class anymore. We're on pace for this year. We'll do about 80 transactions, about $30 million. So we move a few houses, and we do a lot with repeat clients and a lot of past clients. So that's why one of the reasons I'm teaching this class is we get a lot of our business from our sphere, which is closing the deal and then just follow up, which is what we're going to talk about today. Any questions, raise your hand. I can see everything. I'll bring up the slideshow here and we'll get started unless anybody has any questions to start with. I'll answer questions about pretty much anything, so it doesn't have to be on this topic if you want. I've been doing this almost 15 years, so I do have some real estate knowledge, and I'm happy to share it if you want to know it. Start with my papers. Okay. Today, we're going to be talking about, and I do go on tangents every once in a while, so just hold on. Know the basic step of contract to close process, identify your contract to close responsibilities, explore common issues that can occur in the contract to close process, leverage your resource, and implement a post-close system. There we go. That's the fun stuff. Let's see if I remember how to share screen on this. Share screen there. All right, everybody see that? Anybody can't see it? Let me know. Get your head in the game. All right, cool. These are the important things we need to, the process here is to make this as smooth and as easy as possible for our clients, the other clients, and get it to close. We all want to get paid. That's the important part of all this. We don't do it for free. And I'm sure like many of you, I have a mortgage company that does not have a sense of humor. They want their money every month. So the 3 most important thing is the transaction to close on time, the process is smooth and painless, and you're in future business. That's one of the big things. It's much easier to stay in touch with past clients and get future business from them, whether it be referrals or them buying or selling, than it is to go out and try to just dig through the muck and try to find leads. So that is important. Anybody have an idea how we can ensure these kind of outcomes? How we can make this close on time, be a smooth process, or win future business? Well, just so you know, I will sit here quietly until people answer.
I would say help them through the mortgage process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we most certainly, I mean, mortgage lender is going to be up front and can take care of all the technical stuff, but it's our duty to stay in touch too with the mortgage lender. If you're on the buy side, most certainly. If you're the sell side, usually not so often but buy side, most certainly. There should be, if you're not getting weekly contact with your mortgage broker on a buy side, you're not talking to them enough, if not more. You need to make sure you're communicating with them so that if issues do arise. Anybody else? Come on, somebody's got a thought.
Sean, you just got to be organized.
Mhm.
Know where you're supposed to be at the proper time and who you're supposed to talk to.
There we go.
I think, you're next door to me. When to get the inspection ahead of the appraisal, things of that nature. Have a strategy and one that works and that fits with the protocols.
One thing I did, for the first 9 years I was in real estate, I was working full-time Department of Corrections, and I had checklists for everything. I still do. We still have checklists for every single thing we do. As you're figuring out, if you haven't closed a deal yet, or if you're in the process, or ask around, ask Mara. I know Mara has some of my old checklists that I gave her to share with you guys anytime anybody wanted them. But come up with know the steps in the process. If you have a checklist in place, you can check those off. It'll help you move along the thing, and it makes whether you know what's going on or you're still learning what's going on, it's going to make it sound like you are in control of everything when you talk to your clients. Come from contribution. This is a win-win. I mean, buyers want to buy, sellers want to sell. Let's as agents not get in the way. We're here to facilitate the process, take care of the paperwork, make sure everybody stays out of trouble. But too many times in the real estate industry, you see agents that want to be part of the process and be involved. We're not. We are here to advise, to fill out paperwork, and to make sure everything's legal. Buyers want to buy, sellers want to sell. Let's not get in their way and let it happen. To be successful, you basically have to be a good project manager. You have to be able to follow the steps and get us through the process. There's no better way to do that. I mean, we're just, like I said, we're helping down the line and we're just pushing things down. If you have not yet, I highly suggest to all new agents, go sit down with a lender. Talk to, if you have a lender you use or one suggests you, and ask them what their process is and how you need to be involved within that process so you know from the beginning. Go sit down with title, talk to title, ask what's the process, where do you fit in their process, so you know these things, because clients are going to ask you, and if you don't know these answers, they're going to feel a little more uneasy about the whole process. We want this smooth, we want this easy for them. I mean, they are paying us a lot of money to take care of these issues for them and make sure nothing happens, and so we need to make sure we do that. One thing for the third one, win future business. When we're at the end, when you're sitting, if you're at closing with them, I know some titles right now is allowing us in, some's not. It's been kind of a weird year and a half, but prior to COVID, we always were at closing, every single one. And that's a great time to ask for a referral. Whether anything bad has gone wrong this whole time, they're happy, they're getting the house. This is the best time to talk to them about referrals, about future business, things like that. So, any other thoughts, any other ideas on how to keep your head in the game and make it smoother?
Communicate with your clients so you make sure that you guys are both on the same page and they're staying on top of everything that they need to do as well.
Yes, a good rule of thumb is if you're unsure about what to talk to them about, if you just follow up with them. I follow up with I do only listings. I follow up with all my listings every Monday morning, and then my admin follows up during the week also. But one of the things that's really good to get in the habit of doing, tell them where you're at in the process, tell them what's going on, and then tell them what's going to happen before the next phone call. Set the expectation, let them know, hey, we just had the appraisal done, we're just waiting for it to come back. Next time we talk, we should have the appraisal. Or, the appraisal is back, it's in underwriting. There's nothing going to be nothing to happen for the next week or so. But when I talk to you next time, we'll talk about that some more. But just kind of let them know, because there's no If you just let them sit there, they wonder and worry. Classic human trait. If you let us sit quietly long enough, we'll worry about stuff when there may not be anything to worry about. So as long as you're communicating them with that, that's fine. Let's see. Page 12 in our packet here. You guys have seen this a lot, the old funnel. So we're at the bottom, closing payday, the important stuff, how we pay our bills. The first part of real estate sales process is the hard focused work of making connections and achieving agreements. The second part is the wide-eyed vigilant guardianship of the transaction till it makes it to closing. To be a successful real estate agent to where you're making a decent living and everything, you're doing what, 12 to 16 deals a month as a solo agent, or 12 to 16 a year, sorry, not a month, that'd be a lot. 12 to 16 a year. That's a little over one a month. One transaction a month, that's it. Now that seems like that's a lot for some people. Other people are like, that's, but one a month. So when you get that one, you need to guard it. Unless you get to the point where you're doing 4, 5, 6, 7 deals a month, or 2 or 3 deals a month consistently, we need to guard these all. And not only are they good for current, I need to pay my bills, but this is future business. What's the average, how often does somebody buy or sell a house?
I'm under that too. Is it every 10 years?
Every 5 to 7 years, on average, people buy a new house. Now, if you have, we'll do some math here. If you have, so every 5 to 7 years. So in that time, if you have a well followed up with lead, that is 2 to 3 potential buyers or sellers from that lead. Okay. If the average price point right now, our average price point, the average commission check is about $8,500. So 8,500 times 3, we'll go 2 because that's easy math for me. 16, that's $17,000 for that person. Now, if you follow up with those 2 to 3 people and they give you 2 to 3 people in that 5 to 7, see how, and it starts, that's how it starts to snowball. That's how, as you get longer in the business, you start getting more and more of these and more repeat and referral clients, and you just keep snowballing it. Like I said, we're going to do close to 80 transactions this year, and I would say probably 40 to 50 of them are either past clients or referrals from past clients. Those cost me no money to dig for and find. So it cost me little effort to find them.
At what point did you decide it was time to get help with that?
As in what side?
As in, you said you started around 10 to 12 transactions a year, and then at what point did it become too much for you and you were like, I need a team?
My first year in real estate was February 2007. The market turned over in February 2007 and started to go down to the crash in 2008. My first year, I did 2 transactions in the first year. Second year, I did 4. So I did everything in-house myself until 5 years ago when my wife joined my team. And it was not so much I needed the help, which I greatly appreciate the help, is that we decided we wanted to work together and do this and make it bigger. But I was still handling 35, 40 transactions on my own there for a couple of years. So, but I like that. I am very systematized. Everything is checklist. There is processes for everything. If you ever heard listen to Chris Suarez talk about a playbook, I have a very thick one that covers everything. I have an extensive R&D department, rip off and duplicate. In 15 years of real estate, I've come up with one original idea and it failed. So I steal all my ideas now. So I think it's personal choice. If you ask somebody like Chris or one of the bigger teams, they're going to say about 16 to 18 transactions, you should be getting some help, whether it be a TC, whether it be a full-on blown part-time admin or whatever. I personally don't fall in line for the TC model. I'd rather have a licensed admin that can do more than just process paperwork. A licensed admin can make phone calls for me, can get signatures, can do all these, can set up events, and do things that would technically need a license. So I'd much rather have that. So, but it's personal choice. A lot of people use TC, a lot of people do that. So hope that answered. Know the process. We talked about that. Systems, again, equals size of goal to get paid. know the process. Not every agent you're going to run into is going to know the process and know how to follow through. Even if you learn the entire process, get it down, and you are like clockwork running through it. I like VLC people. There we go. Even if you're running through the process and you are running it like clockwork, you know it, that other agent may not. So you need to make sure you know the process and you're checking in with title, lenders, and everything to make sure the process is going through smoothly. We want to make it as smooth to the other side for the other client, but that's not our responsibility. Your fiduciary duty is to protect your client. So, talked about knowing the process. Buyer, knowing the other agent. Attorneys, we don't deal with a lot of attorneys in the state of Oregon. This is attorneys out of Texas. They use attorneys instead of title. Lenders, loan officers, mortgage processors, members of a team. Like if you get a deal with me, you're going to hear a lot from Kim, my assistant. You're not going to hear a lot from me as the other agent. I will check in once in a while, but mostly it's going to be Kim, so that you'll run into things like that. Closing escrow companies, third parties, whether it's be short sale, estates. I'm dealing with a probate right now deal, so you may have other people involved. Family, friends, if they're lending, or if they're lending the money, or if they just want to be part of the signing process and all that great, but be part of the process. You'll run into a lot of first-time home buyers that mom and dad or grandma and grandpa want to be their knowledge base. That works out sometimes, not all the time. Market center staff, MCA, transition. Who's the most, when we're talking about closings, who is the most important person in our market centers to us?
Our principal brokers.
Principal broker,
Nope.
yeah.
Nope. MCA, they write the checks. MCA is who's going to pay you. So be nice to all your MCAs. The principal broker is going to help you through the entire process. But at the end, when it comes to closing, make sure, bring them treats, bring them coffee, bring them whatever they need. They're the one that writes the checks and get them to you in a timely manner. And that's what's important. Talks about there's no such thing as over communication. I believe that too. I mean, so many problems are solved by picking up the phone. I know our first is always to go to text or email, but so many things, especially in real estate, there's so many little things moving it all the time that can cause problems if you just pick up a phone call and say, hey, this is where we're at. And not a lot of agents do that. So if you were the one that does that to another agent, they're going to appreciate it. I'm going too fast. Okay, I'll slow down. Like I said, I talk fast. Thank you for the warning. Let's see. Page 14. One upside of me talking fast is we get done sooner too, just so you know. But contract close process. I think most of you probably have known this and listening to some of the people talking. You guys have been through the process, but offer is submitted. You got one of three choices: accept, counter, or reject. Once accepted, you have the inspection. Repairs come out, and you have once again three options: accept, counter, reject. Once you've accepted that and you move on to title, you are pretty much just maintaining the process. The title is going to take care of getting the clear title. They're going to send you a copy. Always read your title report, preliminary report when it comes to you. Make sure you look at and see things like, what does the seller owe? Because if you see, we had one time that came back that they had $197,000 in liens against the house, not counting the mortgage. He was a contractor and had used his house multiple times to build new stuff and had about 10 little liens all attached to it. And I knew about that ahead of time, talked to the buyer's agent, or talked to my clients, and because they were getting ready to flip out over it. And I'm like, it's no big deal. This is why, because your clients also get a copy of the preliminary title report. So check in with your lender to make sure everything's going through underwriting, everything's going smooth. Then we're just waiting. You're just following up and checking in. At that point in time, you'll get the final closing statement. Look through it to make sure all the numbers match what you know is to be true from the offer. If everything looks good, everything transfers funds, we record and close. This part's kind of dry. So anybody, any questions, feel free to ask. Like I said, I can see the chat too. Basic steps to the contract. I just kind of went over those really quick. Anybody have any questions about the steps of the contract or the steps of the offer to close? It's kind of dry and boring, so I kind of sped through it, but it is important to know all these steps. Anyone?
We just went through that the other day. Yeah, the steps to close.
Perfect. We'll get to the important stuff. Page 17. Let's see. Throughout some of the tip here, I like the first tip quite a bit. Throughout the entire contract close process, follow up regularly with closing, title, escrow company, and the loan officer to be sure everything is progressing on schedule. If you're always checking in, there is no excuse for why something may not be on time or may not be on time. I had here recently a closing where once again, phone calls are important because it makes things clear. Me and the lender were texting back and forth, and I kept saying, are we going to close on time? Are we going to hit the closing date? Because it was pretty quick. So I had a lot of questions about that, but the lender kept saying, yep, we're going to hit the closing date. We're going to hit the closing date. We're doing this over text. I get a call about 8:30 one night from the lender. Hey, I had the wrong closing date, he said. I had the 29th instead of the 26th, so we're not going to close on time. Which I had my sellers were pinning this to buy another place, and then they had a pinning on another sale on another place. They were buying two different places, and it was just a mess. So picking up the phone, I should have picked up the phone and talked to him instead of texting him. You live and you learn. But when you ask them if they're on track for the closing date, make sure you include what the actual closing date you believe is. The next couple, tip number 2, both agents should attend the closing as a resource to their clients. Like I said, up until COVID, we attended every closing. In the state of Oregon, since we sent out disclosures and everything prior to close, and the settlement statements and everything's pretty much been already out there. So there's not a lot of questions at closing. I mean, I go there for support. I go there just to hang out. A lot of times I play with the kids if they have kids and stuff, and just kind of keep them out of their hair so they can sign paperwork and talk to the title company. There's not a lot of things I can do at that point. It's going to be between them and title. Usually what it is, if some mistake that wasn't found is found, and I can say, yeah, this or that, and the title's the one going to go fix it. I'm just kind of there, but I still like to do it. So pages 18 and 19, kind of checklists here of the process. Come up. Like I said, Myra has them. You can ask her for them. Let's see. I'm going to bring up. I got them somewhere around here. Forms. There we go. Okay, share screen. Here's one that we use. It's in all of our, we still keep hard files, and it kind of, this goes in order of what, there's no dates on, but how the process goes. This is for a listing checklist. Goes from getting the property list to getting it ready for showing to marketing and uploads, to after acceptance, to after close, everything that needs to happen. It's very basic, and we know the process by the back of our hand now. So this just kind of keeps us on track. But if you come up with something like similar to this to help keep yourself on track, and I know Mara has copies of this one and the buyer one that we use, so she can most certainly give it to you. Anything, like I said, anything to knock it off. Anybody have any questions about like this, something like this? No questions? See. Here is the, nope. Buyer checklist. Here's the buyer one. Very similar. Contract paperwork, short sale addendum, just kind of listing out every possible thing that can go happen during the process. And we, like I said, we just check mark the diamond there when we get it done. That way, if any point in time, especially as in a team setting, if you are on a team setting, I'm sure there's some form of checklist somewhere. I wanted to set it up to where is if anybody on my team picked up this file, they know where we're at and what needs to happen. So that's why we use this, and we still, like I said, we still use paper, even though a lot of teams are going to digital, a lot of agents are going to digital. We still have a paper copy of everything. All right, share. Okay, no questions. You sure? There's a lot of questions in this group. Be a problem solver. Page 20. It lists multiple problems here. We're going to go over a few of those to kind of see what you guys think. How things can go wrong during the inspection period. As the seller, they have the inspection and that you're surprised by findings. How do you prevent that? Anybody?
Sean, could you repeat what you just said? I didn't catch it.
You're at, here on page 20. You have the questions there in front of you. Inspections and repairs. You as the listing agent, you have the inspection and there's things come up that nobody knew about. How do you avoid that?
Ask the seller before to disclose anything that they know about the house that could be a potential material problem.
Yeah, very much so. People are asking about the checklist. Mara has them. Mara can, I don't have your guys' emails. Mara can, if you just ask her, she will email them to you. Yeah, most certainly. One of the things I tell people when they ask things like, do you do a pre-inspection? My honest opinion is when I go to sell my house, I will do one. So if our fiduciary duty is to act the best interest of our client, if I would do it, I suggest it to people because I think that's the best course of action. Nope. This is a big one. I hear a lot of agents talk about number 2 there. Report is complex or confusing. How do you avoid that? Anyone?
I don't know how to avoid it, but I would definitely maybe look that stuff up before presenting it and make notes so that everybody would understand it as you're presenting.
Yeah. The best way to prevent all that is attend your inspection with your client. I hear a lot of agents that don't attend inspections or they just get the report and then they try to explain it. The inspector will explain everything. And trust me, years of experience, it sounds a lot worse if they just read the report than if the inspector tells you, yeah, this is a problem, but you know, this is easy fix, this is how you fix it. Where they just see the report and this is a problem. I firmly believe we should be at every inspection and along with buyers at every inspection. I know our inspector prefers to have the buyers there because they don't want phone calls, 20 different phone calls afterwards asking questions. These other things are contract type stuff, appraisals.
The buyer comes to the inspection, but the seller does not, correct?
No, it's the seller's house. Seller has the right to be in their house anytime they want to be there. I, as a listing agent, highly encourage them to leave and find something else to do. Have I done inspections with sellers there? Yep, I have. That's not good coaching on the listing agent side. I mean, and what I tell people, my listings are, they put the offer in, we want to sell this house, we need to afford them the opportunity to talk freely with the inspector. And if you're there, they can't do that. So, not a crystal clear answer, but there's the answer. I mean, they may or may not be there. Most times they won't be, but I have done them with people there. And I've worked with my same inspector for years, and he's pretty good about deflecting the sellers and keeping them keeping them off and helping me out that way. But yeah, they will be there sometimes. It does happen. One of the big things we're running into now, and people are very concerned about, appraisals. are we concerned about appraisals? How do we? There's two different thoughts on that from the listing side and the seller side, or from the listing side and the buyer side. I mean, we as a buyer, we want to push that price down as much as we can. We want low appraisals. I mean, technically, I mean, your job is to protect your client's money. We don't want it to be a high appraisal. The other upside is if it is a high appraisal over list price, they do have that walk in with equity. But as a seller, we want that thing to come in as high as possible. Obviously, we want all the money we can get for our seller. If there's concerns as a buyer about an appraisal coming in low, you shouldn't be putting the offer in my opinion. That's iOS. In the opinion of Sean, we've seen too many times of buyers in the last year and a half of putting in offers, agents putting in offers to win the bid and then hope that the appraisal comes in low. And that is, I believe, is not good business. We should not be doing that as agents. Our fiduciary duty is not to do that. We are to be looking out for the best interest of our clients, and by doing that, you're not, in my opinion. So there's my little soapbox on that.
If your appraisal comes in high, can you, negotiate it at the time, but does it have to be in the offer or the contract? That you're gonna negotiate it if the appraisal comes in high?
Yeah, I mean, once you've negotiated it out, it is what it is. I mean, because we've already done the negotiation on the offer. If it comes in high, it's a win for the buyer. And the listing agent should have done a little better job of pricing the house. It's hard right now. We're seeing with the way the market is just increasing. I mean, we're at 13.5% increase on the year. It's hard to keep up with comps and figuring all that out and keeping up. We're seeing several people buyers walking into listings with equity, because that's just unfortunately the name of the game. What we're seeing a lot more of is these crazy prices coming in, crazy offers, and sellers accepting 70, 80,000 over ask, and then the appraiser coming in at 20,000 over ask, and then there's a big debate. Something's going on. So,
if you already had an appraisal and then a sale fail, do you need to get another appraisal for the same property, or is that on the buyer?
That's a lot buyer, and that's gonna be on the lender. If it's an FHA appraisal, it will stick to the house for 120 days. So you usually don't have to. VA, conventional, USDA, their lender is gonna most likely require a new appraisal. Because if it falls through, it's probably gonna be a new lender, and the appraisal is there to protect the lender. They don't want no shenanigans going on in the back saying, hey, buyer agrees to sell the seller this $200,000 house for $450,000 because they're friends, and the lender's going to have to pay for it. So that's what the appraiser is there for. The inspector is there to protect the buyer, and the appraiser is there to protect the bank, which hasn't seen the house. So they're going to want most times. Very rarely have I seen it to where they reuse an appraiser. They're going to want a fresh one for them.
Got it.
I got a quick question on what you just said. Say the house does go for 60, 70 above the list price, but the appraisal is only 20. What are the typical negotiations or things that follow up on that?
Usually what happens, the first question, me as a listing agent, first question is going to be is how much money did your buyer have in their pocket to cover that difference?
Okay.
I mean, that's going to be I'll go from the list side and the buyer side. From the list side, that's going to be my very first question is, how are you guys going to fix this? Because you made this offer for this price, and so we want you to honor that. Now, 99.9% of the time, they're going to say, we got no more money. So at that point in time, it becomes negotiations open back up. Seller can either say, no, I want this price and blow up the deal, or we can come up with some kind of compromise, meet in the middle. A lot of times we're going to go at list price or at appraisal price for the fact of, even if we put it back in the market, we know what the appraisal price is now, and that's what we're probably going to get. So there's different things from the buyer side. My job is to try to get it back down to that appraisal price. I'm trying to fight. I'm going to fight and claw it, because once again, I don't know if anybody's discussed it. Fiduciaries. We are all fiduciaries. We're same thing with like financial advisors. You'll see some that say fiduciary, some that say not. Fiduciary means it's our job, and we're required by law to protect our client's financial interest over ours. So our job, my job is to fight tooth and nail to get that price down to what the appraisal is, so my people aren't overpaying.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of the different scenarios there. I mean, and like I said, listing side, my job is trying to get it as close to that offer price as I can.
Right, like, no, if 60 was above the offer, that's the offer, and then buyer, no, I want to get down for what it was appraised.
Yeah, I'm not gonna overpay for I'm not overpaid for this property. This is what
Gotcha,
it
that
was
makes
for.
sense.
But I go back to one of my original statements is the buyer wants to buy, seller wants to sell. There's always a way to work it out. It's just a matter of where we're gonna end up at.
Right.
So, let's see. All this other stuff. Let's see. Here's some good ones on loan approval and funding. Lenders will have this conversation with your clients if you're working with buyers, but you also need to make sure you have this conversation. Do not buy any large purchases on credit. Tell your clients that. I was showing houses to a friend of mine whose husband passed away, and she drove up in a brand new big old Chevy pickup truck right in the middle of us looking at houses. I about had a heart attack. I'm like, what are you doing? We're trying to find your house now that you're on your own. What's going on? Oh, I pay cash. I'm like, okay, great. If you can pay cash, go pay cash. We had another client here very recently. He works at a car dealership in Texas. He's moving to Oregon. He sold 4 cars and bought 2 others during the loan process. Almost blew up the entire thing. Luckily, we were able to fish it all back together. But have a talk with him about that, because not only do they run the credit at the beginning, they run it just before they fund it. The lenders do, to make sure there are no changes. We've had hiccups happen there because people have done something to their credit, missed a payment, done something that just is either that has tanked their credit or just moved it. You know, the minimum score you have to get a loan right now is 620, and then say they were at 624 and they missed a payment, all of a sudden they're at 619. They're not getting a loan. So we also need to have those talks with them so they know. One of the things we're having a lot of talks with are gifts from other family members. You know, with all the craziness going on with the prices and offers, getting some kind of help from a mom and dad or somebody, so you can put a little more escrow money in, or you can put a little larger down, or you can guarantee above that appraisal price a little bit. And those are gifts from family members or friends, but those have to be documented. It can't be, grandpa pulled 10 grand out from underneath his bed and gave it to me to put down on this. It needs to go through a bank. Lender's going to require that so they can track it and know where it came from and show that it's real and things like that. So
Is there a minimum amount of days that they have to have it in their checking account before it can be valid?
they really like 30. Lenders do. We've done it with less. If we can go through and prove some history and things like that. And that's when we start digging and proving history of, look, they've had this money in this account before, they just did this and where it came from somewhere. But they truly would love to see it in their checking or banking account 30 days. It's called seasoning. So
with what's the time period that buyers shouldn't make any of those big purchases or open credit cards before they want to buy a house, or is it from the pre-approval date?
from the point they get a approval letter until the day they get the keys, I would tell them, no, don't do it, because the approval letter is going to be on that credit right then. And so if they make adjustments to that credit by buying, or, I mean, if they want to sell stuff, they want to sell cars, great, go sell cars, go pay off credit cards. That's great if you want to do all that stuff. And lender may even tell them to do that. If they are looking at their score and they're a 680, but if they pay off this credit card, that'll push them up to, 695, which will get them a better rate and things like that. There may be that stuff going on, which is fine, but if no purchases, no, it's usually furniture. Furniture is the big one. Oh, we found this furniture, we wanted it for the new house. Well, great, you don't get the new house, but you got the furniture. So you have to keep an eye on that and talk to them about that. And we are talking a big financial for them, so it's okay to talk to them about their financials and ask them questions and make sure you understand too. talk to the lender. Once you get the approval letter, you should be calling the lender, whether it be a lender you send them to or another, and saying, how are we looking? Is there any concern? Are there, I mean, is this tight? I mean, like the example I gave earlier, if you're saying, you know, they got a score of 625, you know, I want to know that, because then I'm going to really keep an eye on them. You know, don't even, you know, charge a milkshake. Don't do anything. We're going to get until we get this house closed, because we don't want to mess anything up.
Yeah, that's something that I noticed before, even doing real estate. We would get new neighbors who bought the house, and then all of a sudden they'd all get new cars. And I was like, what's that all about? But now I understand they were waiting for that close to get their
Most
new
certainly.
car.
Yep, most certainly. And people buying out, getting in a new neighborhood, we got a better car, things like that. But yeah, a lot of it is they're just waiting because they've been told don't buy anything. One of the things we have, you know, you'll start to see and we'll start to dealing with is, you know, they have to sell to buy. That's a simultaneous close. We do it all the time, but whoever is, I mean, whether they're listing in another state or whether they're listing with you or listing with another town, you need to be in constant communication with that other agent. If you're doing both sides, great, no problem. You're listing the house, you know the timeline. But if they're moving from out of state, they're moving, you know, they're moving from Bend, they're moving from Umatilla, they're moving someplace, you know, Brookings, and they have to buy, you need to contact that agent right away when the process starts, so that you know the timelines, you know what needs to happen. We need to make sure their deal is not going to mess up our deal. If you have to help them with some things, help them. I've helped other agents with things that they couldn't figure out, didn't know, to make sure their deal closed so my deal would close. So that's all part of the communication. They have to be part of that chain. Talks about short sales. We're not seeing a lot of those. I don't foresee us seeing a lot of those. I don't foresee us seeing a lot of foreclosures. There were 2 million people that got on forbearance. 1 million of them have already been paid off. So, and a lot of that last million are getting offers for refinancing now, and even at better rates than they were before. So that's good to hear.
Hey, Sean, I have a question on the list right where you're at here, about backup offers. I don't really understand the backup offer, and I don't understand what triggers a seller's option to take a backup offer, I guess.
Okay, backup offers. So you get an offer, to a full price offer, great. Somebody else has also looked at it, interested, and they want to put an offer, but you've already accepted the first offer. You can take their offer and have it in a backup position to where, say something happens to that first offer, then you can go, they're ready to buy. They are still able, as the buyer on that backup, to continue to look at homes and buy homes, and they just have to give you notice that, hey, we found a different home, we're removing our backup offer. I personally, as a listing agent, it's a little more paperwork. I like having backup offers in place for a couple reasons. One, we have the comfort of knowing there's somebody else there. Two, when buyers in the first offer start asking for all sorts of repairs and everything like that, or start asking for stuff, I can say, hey, I got a backup offer. I don't know if I necessarily want it. We don't necessarily want to do all that because they're waiting. And so you have those, you have a little more leverage as a listing agent and as a seller if you have a backup offer. But right now, the way the market's going, everybody is quick to jump off a deal because they put an offer in really quick because the market's moving fast and they decide they don't like the house. So we're putting backup offers on a lot of stuff, and we're getting in and winning because that first offer goes away for some reason.
Okay.
And it's just basically you're doing the same thing, and there's just a counter. So say you were putting the backup offer in, you submit it to me. I'm going to check with you to see if your clients want to be back up because we've accepted another offer. You say, yep, great, we want to be in it. I'll send you a counter that says that you're in backup position.
Okay.
And that's kind of, and you're just basically, you have a halfway accepted offer while you're still looking for houses. And like I said, if you find another house and they want to move on, you just send an addendum to the agent saying, you know, we're going to remove our backup offer. And you don't have to put earnest money down. You don't have to do anything. You're not locked in to anything, but you are there in that position just in case that first offer goes away.
Okay. Thanks.
Is there a limit to the timing? Do you take backup offers up to appraisal? Or?
No, yeah. I mean, whenever. I mean, it's up to you. It's personally up to you. Me personally, if we get to me as a buyer's agent, you tell me, hey, we just had the appraisal, I'm probably gonna not put a backup in. As a listing agent, if I'm haven't had the appraisal back, I will. If I've got the appraisal back, no, there's no reason to. We're almost done. Up until then, yeah. I mean, all through the process, if somebody wants to put a backup offer in.
What do you recommend
you-
for, sorry,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna ask, you do have to notify them that you, I think I missed it, that they are a backup offer. It can't just sit there, right?
That, one more time, sorry, there was a little feedback there.
I was saying you do have to notify them that they're the backup. The offer can't just sit there, right?
That is a good question. That's up for debate. And that has always been up for debate. I feel as though it is the professional and the right thing to do to tell them there's a backup. Technically, there's nothing that says you have to. So, and I'm a principal broker, just say no. Now that when I say, yeah, there's technically nothing that says you have to, but I think it's just good practice and good business to let them know. I also let them know for the fact of, once again, if they start getting squirrely on repairs and things like that, I can be like, hey, you know, I told you about the backup offer that's full price and kind of idea. So,
But then if you don't notify the buyers that they're the backup, they're not tied to that offer, right?
oh,
They
the
can
buyers,
go and
yes.
make an offer.
Well, no, buyers most certainly you do, because what would happen is they'd send us the offer and we'd send them a counter saying that you were in backup position, so the buyers would know most certainly. Sorry, I thought you were talking like the first buyers. So the second buyer, the backup offer, yes, they would know, and they're able to continue the free shopping. They're not locked in. There's no earnest money. There's nothing. It's just a piece of paper saying they're in backup. And in years past, that meant that you were never getting the house. Here recently, in the last year and a half, that meant you have about a 50-50 chance of getting that house still. Like I said, we won several this year in the last year and a half as backup position. So,
Sean, so I'm kind of looking at that kind of a backup offer situation right now with somebody. How long does it take before you find out if that backup offer might be accepted generally?
Have you submitted it yet?
Working on it. Actually, I might have to fly off of here when the stuff comes to my email. So
I'd call and talk to the agent. Just call and talk, ask the listing agent, say, hey, look, we're gonna submit a backup offer. How soon can you let me know?
yeah, I've done that already.
Okay.
And so right now you just kind of wait. You just kind of in a holding pattern, correct?
Yeah, just like, yeah, I mean, if it's accepted, yeah, you continue to look at houses. But I mean, yeah, for the most part, on that particular house, you're just waiting to hope something goes wrong with the first offer.
Okay, yeah.
Lauren, you had a question?
Yeah, so going back to when you have a contingency to sell one home before the purchase of the second home, or even a lineup of multiple homes needing to sell first, what do you recommend in terms of time frame to manage that? Because I think everybody wants the cushion on their side, but everybody can't get what they want. So
yeah, you just start talking to everybody. I mean, that's what you have to have open, free form conversation between the house you're buying and the house they're selling, and as many far down the line, because hopefully to the point they've already got a lot of things set. The longest one I've ever had was 7 houses. It stretched down from the Canadian border up all the way down. We were the last house. And so that was back in the good old days where 08, 09, where you did whatever you could to sell a house. So sellers were like, yeah, we'll take it. Now they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't take that many contingencies. But back then, oh yeah. But you just are communication with as many people as you can in the chain to make sure everybody's lined up. Like I said,
So
go ahead.
When it's such a seller's market, are we seeing buyers like having to adjust therefore to what the seller wants in terms of, well, we need time to get into our next home, so we need an extra buyback week, et cetera, et cetera. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, and the nice thing is, so say, because anymore to make for 80% of these offers, the buyer is going to already have to have an accepted contract on their house to be able to get their offer accepted as contingent. And just like everybody else, just like those people who are buying the last house, those buyers have been probably searching and struggling to find their house. So they're willing to give and room and wiggle if we need it. And I have yet to have, a buyer on one of my listings and my people buying another house have that offer on my listing, have them not be willing to move around dates, and because once again, they've been struggling to find a house too, just like everybody else. So they're willing to do what they can. Have we had a couple hold the hard line? Yeah. And people moving in with family, people figuring it out, maybe a rent back to where it's, we figure it out, but it's out there, it's happening, and people are being a lot more gracious than they have in the past over those kind of things. Because in the past, it was always, hey, I put an offer in, get it accepted. All right, I'll get my house ready to sell. You have 72 hours to get your house in the market. That ain't flying right now. You have to have it on the market and most of the time an offer on it. So you already have timelines set. So you're able to kind of wiggle those around a little bit on your buy, plus the listing sides are being more cooperative. That makes sense? Oop.
And you're not seeing offers where contingency that they find a home within a certain period. So I'm in contract on my home. I don't have one yet. And I'm committing to, I'm leaving as a seller, I'm leaving myself an out of some sort that I can find my home, correct?
Yes, yes. On almost all of our listings, we have contingent upon seller finding replacement property. Almost every one of our listings, unless they're moving out of state or they already have plans, or we had one that was moving to a family farm that they inherited and things like that. But otherwise, yeah, contingent upon seller. We have one we ended up pulling off the market and we had a buyer's agent and buyers that were circling it and asking lots of questions, but they would not put an offer in until my clients removed that contingency, and my clients would not. They're older and they have 3 dogs. They didn't want to be homeless. If something went wrong. So I don't blame them. Yeah, I don't want to be homeless either. It's still nice out, but it's going to get cold here soon. Any other questions about that kind of stuff? Oh, wait.
I was thinking that because you have so many offers that you would do contingencies, but you do a contingency that says what you just, that they will find a house. So you still do contingencies.
Yeah, because we're getting so many offers because buyers are struggling to find houses. Well, guess what? My seller just entered that buyer's market that everybody's struggling in. And so we need to protect them somehow, some way. And we've had people that are like, no, we don't want the contingency because we know it might slow it up a little bit. We'll figure it out, which is fine. But for the majority of them, they don't, like I said, they don't want to be homeless. So we do have that contingency of them finding a home.
Okay.
So any other questions about contingencies? Clouded titles, number 4 there in your contingencies. That one, you don't run into it very, very often, but when you do, it throws a big old wrench into everything. Whether it be, I talked about it earlier, there's multiple liens where there's liens that people didn't even know about. I had one here recently where the seller had 2 liens they didn't know about, supposedly. They were older, they were in their 70s and going through some medical issues, but we had to clear those all up before we could do anything. And so they don't happen very often, but when they do, it's a big old red flag and everything comes screeching to a halt until it gets fixed. A lot of times, title will take care of all the little ones. You may not even hear about them because they'll clean them up and take care of them because they may be not financial issue clouds, but they may be just like procedural clouds that are on the property that for some reason something wasn't filed right or something in the past. But the big ones that are financial, we hear about them, we hear about them quickly when they do happen. Very important to know your deadlines. Down on the bottom, inspection, repair, closing date, occupancy. What happens if you as a buyer, you submit repair addendum and the seller's agents or the sellers are dragging their feet and just taking forever, and then inspection period expires? What happens?
Matt was just talking about that in scripts this morning, and that she had missed that deadline. Somebody had missed a deadline, and it was a very expensive mistake.
You end up paying for repairs. But I'll throw that out there right now so you all know at some point in time you're going to pay for repairs. You're going to probably pay for a refrigerator or something that you missed or forgot that they asked for or wanted or that you didn't tell. I've luckily, knock on wood, I paid for a fridge, but I have paid for a washer one time. So it will happen. It's unfortunate. People make mistakes, but if you are following your timelines and everything, it will happen a lot less. I know some agents that don't pay for stuff almost every deal because they make mistakes. So that's not a good business model. Do it that way. Closing, page 22. It talks about dot loop. We don't have dot loop anymore. We have command. We used to have dot loop was before command. So this is kind of old, but make sure by or by statute and by the real estate board, how soon are you required to have all documents that are signed by a client into the command system?
24 hours.
72. You have 3 days to get it in there. Your PB has 7 days to review it from the date of the signature. So your PB would love it after 24 hours because it gives them time to review all the paperwork, but you have 72 to get it in and they have 7 days to review. So make sure you follow those guidelines because we just got our hands slapped at our meeting yesterday about that because a lot of people were missing that, not getting it in within 7 days. A real estate transaction has a flow. You have accepted offer. Boom, all that stuff should go in and submit for review. Nothing's really going to happen that you have documentation for until you get to inspection. Inspection, repairs, negotiate. At the end of that time, you'll have more documents that are signed. You should upload those then and boom, send them off to be reviewed. Then the last step is going to be appraisal. You have that appraisal stuff, whether there's negotiations because the prices were off or whatever need to happen. If there's anything signed, boom, you need to send those off. If you just follow that step and do it and not wait, some agents will hold everything until the end or try to bunch it all together. If you get in the habit of submitting all that stuff at the end of each one of those steps, you'll stay in compliance easily. There's no problem. And if you're out of compliance, you may get your hands slapped. Your PB in your office is going to get errors and emission insurance issues if you're out of compliance. So we'll get our hands slapped. That's not good, but we don't want it at the office and have problems like that. So here's my little soapbox on that. Once again, go back to, MCA, PB and the MCA, keep them happy. MCA most importantly, because they write the checks and they're the ones going to pay you. So any questions about that? It's pretty, I think that part's pretty straightforward. Just make sure you're getting all your documentation in. That's all it's going to hold you up from getting paid is getting all the documentation in. And if you get it during those lulls in the deal, you should have no problems. Page 23, dates for buyers. There's many effective date. The effective date is the date the contract is accepted and signed. Loan application deadline. They should have already, in this right now, this day and age, if you're taking buyers out that don't already have an application filled out and submitted, you shouldn't be taking them out. But this talks about that. Inspection deadline, know your dates, loan commitment date. That's, inspection response timeline. You have 10 business days. Holidays always screw us up, but we always figure it out. But escrow date, termite inspections, we don't have much of that here in the state of Oregon. It gets too cold in the winter for termites, so we don't ever have long-lasting termite issues because it's too cold for them. And then close date and possession date, because sometimes they may have 3 days, 4 days, a week, a month, 2 months. I've seen as high as 3 months of possession. Most lenders will not let you go past 3 months. VA most certainly will not, but they expect their person to be in the property within 90 days of close. So sometimes we try to push that for certain reasons, and sometimes we get yelled at. Sometimes we get away with it. At VA, we never do. Dates for sellers are pretty simple. They need to know when the contract is accepted and when you close. Do you all know, talk about effective date, that you are required to give a copy of everything they sign to the person that signs it? Technically, after they sign it, like right there, boom. It's a little hard to do that sometimes if you're doing it in person, but we sit out the very next day, they get a copy of everything they sign. But under ORS rules, regulations, you're required to give them a copy of everything they sign. So make sure you're doing that, because I know a lot of agents don't. And that's another
Question on that.
Yep.
This morning during script practice, they were running through listing appointments and they said bring the seller's disclosure with you. How often does that realistically happen? Is everything DocuSign and you send it to them afterwards or before?
The way my process works, the way I do it is I meet them. I always take to every listing appointment the listing contract. You have a couple pages of data entry. Like Willamette Valley has 2 pages of data entry and 2 pages of contract. RMLS has the 2 pages of contract and like 37 pages of data, because RMLS requires a lot more. Always take those 2 pages of contract with you to every appointment. Because the point in time you don't, the client's gonna be like, hey, I like what you said, where do we sign? So at least give that so you can get it slided across to them, have them sign that. But generally what happens is I meet with them, we go over everything, they decide to work together. I will submit everything to them via DocuSign to sign, unless they want to sign in person. If they want to sign in person, I print everything out and I take it with me. Usually, but I've talked to them 2 or 3 times before the listing appointment. I got a kind of a good feeling whether they are going to be in-person signers or they're going to be DocuSigner people. If they're an older couple or, or talk about, like that, you want to bring the paperwork with you because they're not going to do it. So if it's a DocuSign thing where they're DocuSign them, we sign all the listing contracts and everything. And then the next day, my admin will send them the DocuSign email for the proper disclosures for them to fill out. If it's an in-person signing, I will sign everything and I will leave the proper disclosures with them and tell them I will pick them up when we come back for photos.
Got it. So give them both options, but always have the paper copies with you, just in case.
And I do ask them too. If I'm unsure, I'll ask them, would you prefer to sign electronically or do you want to do it in person?
Mm-hmm.
So
right, thank you.
And one key thing, probably, I'm sure you guys probably went over that, but still we see it all the time, is every question on the property disclosures has to have an answer. Every single question. NA and unknown are perfectly acceptable answers, but there cannot be a blank line. And we're not supposed to help them. It's supposed to be their true representation of what the house is about. But there's some terms on there that sometimes you have to explain to some people. So hope that helps. All right, page 24, seize the golden opportunity. Here's our bread and butter. This is the part I like. Once you close on a deal, these people are probably, they should be in a great place. And one of the first things we do is we send out a SurveyMonkey survey. On page, I'll talk about on page, one of the pages here, on page 26, it gives you an example of a survey. Our whole system is set up, as soon as we put them as a closed deal, they get an automatic email with that link to the SurveyMonkey. Good, bad, or indifferent, it goes out to everybody. And a lot of times, just them receiving that survey and having the chance to fill it out solves issues. If there was something that happened that they did not feel right about, or if they didn't feel smooth and they had a problem with, this is their time to have their voice to say it. Our goal, it's 6, 7, 8 questions long, and our goal is to get 5s. And we 99% of the time we get 5s on all of it, but our goal is that gives them a chance for an outlet, and it helps smooth everything. Let them have that. So I would highly suggest you figure out either a paper system or something, give it to them at closing, but get it to them right away. Because if there are some lingering issues or some lingering bad feelings or something that happened, or they didn't think you did something right, if you give them a chance to express that, that issue usually goes away in their mind. So we consistently follow up with, we have a 1-year follow-up plan for every one of our clients, one of our buyers, to where we follow up. We send out, we spend 0 money on lead generation, on paid leads. We don't spend any money on any of that. But I probably spend as much money as a lot of agents do on that, on gifts. I would rather spend $4,000 or $5,000 a month on my clients than send a Zillow or send a Realtor.com or any of those people, Home.com, and name off 30 of them. But I'd rather give it to my clients. It's more, 1, they enjoy it more, and 2, I have more fun doing it. I mean, we right off the bat, it always mystifies me. It's one of the dumbest things in the world is we spend like $750 and send them a return address stamp for their new house. And we get so many comments about that dumb little stamp that so they can have a little return address stamp. It's one of those things. The answer we usually get is, I've always wanted one, but I'd never buy one for myself. It just little things like that. And their 1 year anniversary, we send them crumble cookies, which if you haven't eaten crumble cookies, you really got to eat crumble cookies. They're good, but they're huge cookies. We send them a dozen of those on their anniversary. We just keep following up, checking in, inviting them to things and letting them know that we're there. We also have an orphan buyer plan. Anybody know what those are? Once the transaction is closed, that buyer on my listings no longer has a real estate agent. So we start mailing them letters day one. First letter that goes out is like, it goes out actually day two. It goes out 2 days after the close. It says basically, congratulations for buying our house, our seller's house. We hope you enjoyed it as much as they do. If you have any questions about the house, whether it be a light switch or a plug or whatever it is that you don't know what it does, please let us know. We know the seller. And then we just keep following up with them. Because a lot of times you read the stats in here somewhere. The page 25, the AR reports that 80% of clients say they would use the realtor agent again, but only 12 do because the agent disappears. 1, go after those people, and 2, don't despair on your people. Keep following up with them. They liked you enough to use you before, they'll use you again, and they will keep using you as long as you stay in front of them. Have you guys all heard about the I think it's 35 touch plan now, 35 touch plan, Keller Williams? Have you guys talked about that yet? Okay. You'll get into that here. It's a follow-up program. You have 35, now it's up to 35. It used to be 33. 35 touches within a year, whether it be phone calls, text, emails, cards, birthdays, anniversaries, bursts. I mean, I stalk all my people on Facebook to send them like birthday cards and things like that, just to send out. But the psychology behind that is, it used to be 33 touches, and the psychology behind it is, if a person is not intimately knows you, friends with you, sees you all the time, they'll forget about you after 11 days. And every 11 days, if you count 11 days, that's 33 in a calendar. There's 33 of them every 11 days. So that's what we had for years with Keller Williams. They recently decided to go 35, which shortens that up. So you're not at the very end of that 11-day period. You're actually a day, 10 and a half days kind of idea. But that is to keep you in mind. And those follow-ups are easy. We have it all set up in our system. You're calling them, you're texting them, you're sending them a birthday card. If you decide to do events, we do a lot of, well, haven't the last year, but traditionally we do a lot of events for our clients. We call them 3 or 4 and text them 3 or 4 times before the event, and then after the event, plus the event. So there's like 8 or 9, right? Between birthdays and that's 8 or 9 in a year right there. We give away pies. We call picks in the park. We pay for a photographer to come out and take pictures every half hour of our clients, and they sign up for time slots. We give away flowers in the spring. We used to do a movie thing, but COVID's kind of cut that back. We used to do a movie night and invite our clients. And whether they come or not, all the invites you're sending out and all the calls you're making about it, those are touches. So we want to constantly be touching people and checking in on them. One of the things I tell a lot of people is, the average person sells a house every 7 to 5 years. I'm going to do about 45 this year. So I have a lot more knowledge when it comes to selling houses than they do, because I do it more often. So if it's just a matter of giving out knowledge, that's half my job. That's half your guys' job too. You are the experts. You have gone through training. You have gone to school. You're going through this. You know way more than a lot of people know about houses. And you will be surprised once you get out and really start talking to people, how little people know about the process or buying or selling a house or even maintaining a house, which all these things you'll learn. You'll learn that you should really have your furnace service once a year. You should really have your AC service once a year, things like that. I mean, that people don't ever do. You should have a roof check, have moss cleaned off it once a year. I mean, things like that, and people never do. We've all seen it. You drive down the road and people got green roofs. So how do you leave a good impression with somebody? after hearing all that? Anybody?
What'd you just say?
How do you leave a good impression after you've heard all that? I've told you all the stuff that you can do and that we do. And how do you leave a good impression with a client?
Communication, stay in touch.
That's one way.
Yeah.
One
Give
line
them-
needs to be, oh, go ahead.
Give them information.
Very much so. Those are all the right answers. One thing that used to be on my email signature, which I don't have anymore, I had it for years, was they don't care what you say to them. They only care how you make them feel. And that's true. If you make them
making
feel
them feel-
loved or
Making them feel like a friend, leaving every transaction as friends.
exactly. I have to, we call it in my data, in our database, we have a section called money makers. That's a tag we use. And those are people that consistently refer people to us. So if we're doing something special, if we decide to give something big away, it goes to usually just that group. If we're doing a normal thing, then we go out to all of our past clients. But I have one lady, her husband, they found me on Craigslist back in like 2012, 2010, sometime around there. I have helped them buy a house. I've helped them sell a house. I've helped them buy a house. I've helped them sell a house, and I've helped them buy another house since then. And she's referred me probably 10, 15 people in that time frame. And it was one of the things where we connected, we clicked, and it's great. I mean, I know her kids. I send her kids presents on their birthdays and things like that. There's nothing major. I mean, and it's great. Amazon makes it so easy these days. You want to send something? She's a big 49ers fan, and her son turned 4, I think it was. So I $15 receivers glove, 49ers gloves for him. I got photos. There's all sorts of photos on the internet about it from her and all over Facebook and tagging me and stuff. $15 it cost me, and I had it directly shipped from Amazon to their house. Little things like that. So yeah, make them feel special. In this day and age, not a lot of people feel special anymore. Make them feel that way. If you're the person doing it, how much are they going to love you? How much are they going to stay with you? Ismail, go the extra mile. Exactly. Do what other agents won't do. And it doesn't have to be hard. All these things, some of these things are bigger events and we grow to them, but a lot of things I'm talking about here aren't hard to do and don't take a lot of time or money. They just take intentionality. One of our biggest expenses, postage for handwritten cards. We have a branded card, we have just a general, hey, I hope you're doing great card, and we have a birthday cards. And we send out lots of them. Who gets a handwritten card these days? I get text back messages all the time. One of the things I'll do is I try to call every client on their birthday. They get a card, but I try to call them all on my birthday. And one of the things I tell them, if I get voice message, is I tell them, oh, if you would answer, I was going to sing you happy birthday. And I usually always get a call back, and I tell them, it's one-time shot. You had to answer the first time. Was I going to sing? Probably not, but I tell them that. And so I get calls back. I talk to them. So be involved in your people. Know what's going on with them. Know their kids. Know their kids' names. Know their dogs' names. That's great for lead generation. If you're following up with people, you hear the dog in the background, you ask them a question about their dog, get the dog name. Write that down. Next time you call, you hear the dog barking. Hey, how's Fido doing? What's that show? You're paying attention to them. It's a little off this topic, but there you go. But it is part of the follow-up program. Make sure they know who you are. Make them feel special. Make them feel like they're part of a club. We didn't do it last year because of COVID, but every January we take everybody that had referred us business during the year and we take them out to dinner. We got Rudy's, which is a steakhouse here in Salem. We take them to Rudy's for dinner. There's a back room we reserve, and we go and we pay for everything. Because heck, if they refer a deal to me, we play at a little higher price point. We're up over 400,000 is our average price. So I mean, that's 10, 15 grand I probably made depending on the price point off that one person. So I'll buy them a steak. Customer satisfaction, we talked about that on page 26. Any questions? one of the things I forgot about when I was reading this stuff again, because I have never, I think this is the second time I've taught this class. Usually I teach either step 3 or step 8. So I was refreshing my memory since the last time I taught this class. Is on page 27, section number 2, talks about handwritten notes, but also the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th point down. We're seeing a lot of people right now that are moving out of state. We are selling a lot of homes. About half the homes I sold this year, people are not rebuying here in Oregon. They're buying all over the place. What about looking ahead? If you know they're going to Boise, or if you know they're going to Dallas, or we had one go to Chattanooga, Tennessee. If you know they're going to these places, get them something about that place. Get them a gift card there to something specific there for their closing. Do something like that. Like I said, I told you, I never think about that. When I was reading this, I rethought about that, because we do a lot of this other stuff on our team. We provide them with a 1-hour photo shoot at their house after closing. And we have a deal worked out with our photographer that we use, and it's good for 90 days. And we give out 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 of those a year, and maybe 1 or 2 people use it. But we get credit for the gift. So we supply that for our agents. We have little keychains with our logo. We do things like that. We also encourage our agents to buy them something as a closing gift, because they know them better than we do. My buyer's agents know the buyers better than I do. I've probably never even met them. So they're encouraged to buy them something also. But little things like that. I mean, the cost of the photo shoot's $125. So I've probably paid for it twice this year. Plus, I think it was $40 for all the cards we give them. That's all it cost me, but I get credit for more. So once again, nobody's doing that. Find something that's your niche. Find something you like to do, and just follow up people about it. Talks about asking for feedback. Yeah, always asking for feedback. We send in an email the week of closing. If we don't get, or the feedback and reviews, we don't get reviews, we send it again a week later. If we don't get it in, we send it a week later. We send it 4 times. After the 3rd time, we make a phone call and ask them if they'd please fill out the review. Does everybody get a shot at the review? Yes. Everybody, no matter how the transaction goes, gets at least one of them. If it's been a bad transaction and I feel as though it was their issue, not mine, they may not get a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, but I do send everybody the original one. So I don't. And if you look, we have all 5 stars except maybe 1 or 2. So keep it in touch. I can keep talking about that, but yeah, keep in touch. That's important. If they're moving to another area, or if they're moving to your area, get them a book on the history of the place or stuff about the area. Start working with local businesses. Get them coupons, get them stuff like that. One of the things we did for years was we went to the dollar store and we had a bucket of cleaning supplies and things like toilet paper, roll of toilet paper, or paper towel roll, because you buy individual ones at dollar store. We get a dollar store bucket, and it was like 12 items, cost us $12. And you can also start stuffing in coupons with that from local businesses. And we leave that there at the house for when they move in. Because what's everybody looking for when they move into a house? Cleaning supplies, toilet paper, paper towels, and it's just right there. Now it's dollar store quality, so it's not very, but it's just to get them through until they get unpacked. And it just became a logistics issue with the amount of deals we were doing to get them all handed out in time. But that's something simple and easy. Like I said, $12. If you just set it there in the house, leave it for them, people appreciate that. You're thinking about those things for them, because they're not thinking about that stuff. Getting paid. We've kind of talked about all that before. Make sure everything's uploaded to the system so that the PD can approve it. Make sure your MCA, so your MCA has it, can write the check. One of my biggest pet peeves is don't have commission breath, I call it. Don't be sitting at the MCA's door waiting for your check, like every 5 minutes, checking to see when your check's going to be ready, if you can avoid it. They will get it to you as quick as you can. Once again, bring them food, bring them chocolates, bring them coffees. They like that. And it may speed up the process a little bit, but not a lot, but you keep them happy. Talks about e-edge. We don't have e-edge anymore. That was the old commit, and we don't have a green sheets anymore. Thank God, no more green sheets. But yeah, and once it's approved, you'll get a DA, and that save all your DAs. Your accountants will like to see those. So that breaks down all everything you're doing for making money in the year. Any questions? Any at all? Not anything. Doesn't have to be about this.
Yeah, what'd you say? What is the disbursement authorization? Never mind.
Yeah, yep, there you go. And then, I've talked about using our database. For the first 2 or 3 years I was in real estate, my database consisted of a Excel spreadsheet. Do you guys, we have command and everything's given to us. Do you know what the best database out there is? Top of the line, number 1, best overall. I see a couple heads shaking no. The best one out there right now is the one you will use. Don't worry about command's there, command's great. We don't personally use command because we liked our database before command came around. We've been using the same one, but don't overthink databases. Agents will switch databases every 6 to 9 months to every year. There's no reason. That's a waste of time. Just find something you're willing to use. And if you can use it and it works for you, great. It doesn't have to work for anybody else except you. So that is the best one out there, the one you will use. I've spent as much as almost $1,000 a month on database. I've spent as low as $25 a month on a database. There's all sorts of them out there. And like I said, command's free to us, so command's great too.
What do you use?
We use FirePoint. Cordova, he used to be a Keller Williams agent. He designed it, and we like it. It's just, and I think half of it is that the way with FirePoint you can set up checklists. So everything, every process, every scenario, every possible scenario that we could run into for a deal or a transaction, we have a checklist for already. I'll put in there that we've built over the years, and that's one of the main reasons we stay with it. Is I don't want to recreate the wheel.
Is that expensive?
$250 a month plus $250 a month required SEO that I have a lender that pays for. So it costs me $250 a month. So in the big picture, it's not that expensive when you're starting out. Like I said, I started with an spreadsheet, so I understand. It's our monthly business costs run about $8,000, so $250 a month is not all that big to me, but I know it's a big chunk if you're new. Lion Desk, Brivity, used them all. Commission Inc., Boomtown, eEdge, which I was actually an eEdge beta tester. That was the system before Command. So if you want to know about databases, I know lots of them. I've used them all. We're supposed to put it all together, and I'm supposed to ask the ahas right now. Anybody, obviously I warned you up front, I go fast, so we went fast. What questions you guys got? Like I said, it doesn't have to be about this stuff. You got real estate questions in general. I am known to be the bastion of useless information, so I could probably answer almost all questions.
I have a question, super quick
Yep.
question. Are manufactured homes eligible for rentals?
Yep. Well, actually, it depends on the park. If it's in a park, then it's the park rules, but I have yet to see one that's not.
Okay, awesome.
About open houses. What do you think about hosting your own open house if it's your home, or would you have somebody else host it for you? I've had mixed answers on that.
Yeah, our bread and butter for the longest time was open houses. We would hold them. We call them mega open houses. We do these big open houses. Since COVID, we obviously have cut back on that, but we would market a week before. If you're doing an open house to where you're like showing up on Saturday or Sunday and throwing the front sign in the front yard, you're wasting your time. You need to do some kind of marketing, some kind of presence leading up to that. Whether it run an ad on Facebook, put a sign in the front yard that says open Saturday, open Sunday, whatever. You need to do more than just show up the day of. Now, right now in this market, you may get some traction. In a normal market, you're going to sit there for 2-3 hours by yourself if you just show up the day of, unless it's on a major road. When it comes to open houses, think outside the box. That's a great way to, I mean, I sat at open houses for ever when I was first starting out, because that's an easy, cheap way to get people in front of you. Think outside the box. If you see, I had one listing that was kind of in a triangle between 4 different schools, 2 grade schools, a high school and a middle school. And I held that thing open from 3 to 5 all the time during the school year. It was when the 08, when the market was, nobody was buying, but I had so much traffic driving by and coming through and things like that. Think outside the box when it comes to stuff like that. It doesn't have to be Saturday or Sunday afternoon. Find something. When it comes to open houses, like I'm a big proponent of them. When it comes to them, okay, pet peeve. Don't go on your inter-office Facebook message and say, hey, who has an open house for me? Because I, as a listing agent that have multiple listings, I'm going to give you the ones I don't want to hold open, not necessarily the good ones. Go through, every MLS has a way, search the MLS for your office for active listings. Find the house in the area, in the price point that you want to be working in. I mean, I'll give you a $300,000 one, but if I had, would rather be doing whole open houses at $400,000 and $500,000 listings. I mean, my people are doing those, but during the week we're not. So go find the house and area you want to work in and go ask that agent. When would be a good time to hold it open? Control your destiny. Don't leave it up to me or another mega agent. Hope that answered your question. I kind of went off on a side note there. And Ismail, yes, database is a CRM. Yeah, same thing. Client CRM, client retention and management. Any other questions? I got to keep you until at least 3 or I get yelled at. So I got to come up with some questions. I don't know. Mara may be little, but she's vicious.
This is one question that came up during scripts earlier today, but then Matt had to take a call and wasn't able to answer it.
Okay.
When you have clients that are gonna maybe do like certain cleaning on the home or like landscaping and things like that, and you recommend a cleaner or a landscaper, how often are you the one paying for it versus them?
We don't pay hardly forever for anything when it comes to stuff like that. We pay for a home stager consult. A friend of ours is a stager, and she goes out and we'll do the consult, and we'll pay for that. But if they want to use the stager and pay for furniture and do all stuff, that's between them, and I tell them that up front. Landscaper, I will refer. I got Tough Leo is his name, my landscaper guy. I'll refer him to everybody, and they work it out. I got a soft spot in my heart. Usually it's a lot of times it's with older people, and if they need help with like landscaping, I've been known to pay for have it cleaned up if they can't afford it or if they can't do it themselves. We had one client we recently just closed on. We listed their house because they were in their 70s and they just couldn't maintain the house anymore. Listed the house on Thursday. She found out she had stage 4 cancer on Saturday when she blacked out and had to be taken to the ER. I asked him, what do you want to do? Do we want to keep listening? He says, we need to sell it. We just can't manage it. And I said, okay. Got an offer on Friday. He went MIA. I could not find him. His son called me on Monday that he was in open heart surgery because he had a heart attack over the weekend. I paid for all the repairs. I just felt like it was the right thing to do. It needed a lot, but I just felt like, so things like that I will do, but in general, no. It's their house. They let the yard get away from them. They can figure out how to pay for the yard to get fixed up. Or we will price it accordingly. So
I do have a question for you about just contacts for vendors, I guess, for working on houses, painters, that sort of thing. Is there any kind of starting point there at Keller Williams as far as a list for that sort of thing goes?
Which office are you at?
I'm in Eugene.
Eugene? Yeah, they must. I know they have a vendor list down there. Just go to the DFI or the MCA and ask them if they have a vendor list. That's a good place to start.
Okay.
One of the things we did, I was taking Bold, and we had, if you haven't taken Bold, they have 100 contacts in a day thing. It's a award you win if you do 100 contacts in one day. We went and hit the home show, and we would talk to every vendor because those are all the people you're gonna. I mean, at the home show, all those vendors, what are they? They're going to be people that you need at some point in time. So we got business cards, and I have a full data. I have a full database of all of them, and I update it every so often. But That's one way. Word of mouth, ask agents. Down in Eugene has Ben Mondragon. He most certainly has a good list of people. I've known Ben since day one. So
Okay.
Ben actually saved my career. I give him credit for that. I was going to give up. It wasn't, but he helped me out and convinced me not to. In that first year when I only sold 2 houses. So I declare him one of the good guys. So he will help. Him and Felicia, his daughter.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep. Got a few more minutes. Like I said, can't let you go. Who's got business? Who's got business in the pipeline? Who's got escrows? Who's got, anybody closed anything yet? I don't know how. There's enough of you. I didn't get to hear where everybody was at. But people got stuff in escrow. People brand new. People know how to put. People asking questions like how to put the sign in the yard. Do we all know that, or where is everybody at in this process? You will hear that question.
I'll go.
Okay.
I'll go. I'm brand new, about a week in. Just kind of feeling a little overwhelmed with everything. I mean, just so much information.
Mhm.
What's your kind of best tip, or what would you say? What should I be focusing on right now, other than just all the training?
If your weekend, my whole focus would be to let as many people that you know personally know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying doing with social media and everything, and texting. Can you touch on some advertising, like big no-nos that you shouldn't post or share, or that you should do?
The big ones I see is people, you'll start to realize and see tons of fair housing violations, and people don't realize it. It's little things, it's dumb little things that people will sue you over if you're not careful. And I don't want to give you guys a bunch of worries, but there are attorneys out there who will want to sue people, and then you pay them $500 to $1,000, they go away, kind of idea, or dumb things. I know I had an agent that I know of that he got sued because he put the house was walking distance to the golf course. That's an ADA violation. What if somebody can't walk?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I don't want to worry you by going into some things like that, but those are things, just be cognizant of those things. Like, is that a, protected class, or is that a protected thing? So you're talking like walking scene, near, walking distance to schools, walking distance to parks. You put near parks, near schools. I mean, it's just little word changes, but little things like that all the time are popping up. Close to, say, you're next to a synagogue, next door to the synagogue, that's a violation because you're talking about a specific religion. So just be cognizant of that kind of stuff. Stay away from religion, politics, sex, and creed kind of idea. And physical disabilities. Beyond that, we have a lot of less with Facebook. Just putting ads out there on Facebook. They're easy to run once you get the hang of it. Makes it a little difficult. A great website or a great thing to use is Lead the Listing. We use that to post all of our social media posts. It's $25 a month. And you just go and click buttons, and they post all the posts, and they make sure they're all legit and they're not violations, and they run ads for you. And it's $25 a month for Lead the Listings, but then you have to pay for the ad costs. So they're like $35 for a 5-day run or 7-day run or 8-day, however long you want to run. I honestly would not worry a ton about that stuff yet. I would be on the phone. I would be calling people, texting people, sending cards, just to let them know. We have a brand new agent on our team, Camille. Her first month, she had 2 in escrow, and they were from her sphere of people. And I told her right off the bat, the first month and a half, we're going to be working on your people. And so try to come up with a list write them all down. Just don't go off memory. Hey, I'm sending these people this and that. Come up with a list and try to make it 100 people long. And there's your database. You just started it. And that's what I would be doing the first month. It feels like we need to be hitting the ground running, selling houses, showing houses first month. But if you don't have all this stuff set up at the beginning, you are going to go crazy in about 1.5 to 2 years. And that's why you see
Mhm.
agents last 2 to 3 years, because it gets so overwhelming and they just can't keep up. And I mean, you may accidentally call the same person 3 times in 3 weeks, whereas you forgot this other person and you haven't talked to them in 2 months. So start writing up everybody you talk to, write down, try to get as much information you can about them. And you just keep feeding that database. We talk about feeding it. Your database is a living, breathing thing. You need to feed it, water it, nurture it. And by doing that is you make a phone call, you find out the dog's name, you may find out the kid's name, you find out, this, you find out they're from here, and you add all this information in your database until you get a big old picture of them. And I may not remember somebody's dog's name, but when I go to call them and I bring up their database, their dog may be there, name is going to be there if I know it. And so I don't have to remember it, it's right there in front of me. Things like that. So I would really concentrate on a weekend to getting the list of people to start with.
Mhm. Awesome, thank you. Can you give an example of like what your script would be when calling family or friends or anyone in your contacts on just your first touch conversation?
The first touch conversation? Yeah, it's pretty simple. I'd be, oh, hey there, whoever I'm calling. Hey, this is Sean. Hey, I just want to let you know that I've recently changed careers. I used to be in corrections and now I'm in real estate. And I'm just calling to give people information. I would love to answer any questions or help you any way we can. If there's anybody you happen to know that wants to buy or sell real estate, or please let me know. Because your friends are going to want you have your friends, your close sphere. These are going to be the people that I joke about that when you call and say, hey, I'm moving, they will actually show up to help. Find those people and start with them. They're the ones that want to help you. They're the ones that want to see you succeed. They may not want to buy or sell, but they may know somebody that wants to buy or sell, or they, I don't know. I mean, I give the example also too of we had an agent in Bold that was from Caldwell Banker. He wanted to think about joining Keller Williams. He was just graduated OSU. He was down in Albany office, but he had no family or really family or friend here. He was from Southern California. His friends all in college, all left. They all went back to home, which happens in major universities. Half the people leave because they're not from here. And so he really knew nobody and he was struggling. And so we were on the same team together. So him and I kept talking about it. And I said, here's the deal. How many people do you know at home where you came from? Southern California, Santa Barbara area, I think it was. And he's like, oh, I know tons of people. I said, well, all your friends are in their early mid-20s, right? He goes, yeah. I said, they're probably all thinking about maybe buying or getting ready to buy. What are their parents getting ready to do? Downsize. So I gave him the name of an agent I knew down there. And I said, call her, ask her if she'll take referrals and start calling all those people down there and letting them know what you're doing. By the time this 7 weeks of Bold was up, I think he had 6 or 7 referral checks getting ready to come in from all those people. There's more than one way to skin a cat. So find those people you know and start with them. Does that make sense?
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
Yes.
Ismail, by hitting the home show, we just walked around. I had a giant stack of cards and we stopped at every single booth, introduced them, and our script was real simple. Hi, I'm Sean Key with Keller Williams. I'm a real estate agent. You have what I need. People ask me about this stuff all the time. Tell me about it. Tell me a little bit about it. Can I get one of your cards? And I left with a big old giant stack of other cards. So that's all we did. We just walked around, talked to every vendor. Minus a few. There was like the food stuff and some other things, but all the major house stuff, windows, gutters, like 15 gutter people, 15 window people if you do that, because there are all those out there. Doors, siding, concrete, paving, they're all there. And what are people going to ask you about? All that stuff. So that made it easy. With everything going on right now, I have no idea if I know we didn't have the home show here in Salem this last year because of COVID. So, but it's a good way to get all that information.
I'm so new, I don't even have my license delivered from the state yet. So I'm concerned that somebody's going to actually take me up on it and I'm going to be unable to help them.
So I don't remember. I'm not going to be able to pronounce her last name. Irina Popov? Same thing I told her.
Yep.
Start your list. All right, there you go. I almost got it. Work on your list. That's the first thing you should do, is sit down and try to come up with 100 people, names, phone numbers, and and just be ready to hit the ground running as soon as you do get your license, and then work that list. Then once you get your license, open houses, things like that, but get that list. I know they probably talked about it already, but that's what I did, and that's what they preach. And I'm really weird. I don't understand. There's a big red book. It tells you how to do all this. I just followed the book. And then I wonder why people don't understand certain things. I'm like, it's in the book. Just read the book and do it. I'm one of those people. I just did what it told me to do. So there's not a whole lot of genius to my world. This is the old one. This is what the original one looked like. So it's got all my tabs and everything in it from ideas. But if you haven't read that book, that'd be a great place to start too. Because it is. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're Keller Williams or if you're Remax or if you're EXP or if you do or HomeSmart, or we can list them all off. There's billions of them now. They all consider that the book. That's the real estate Bible. It's just not a Keller Williams thing. So it lays it out how to do it. So if you haven't got your license yet and you're trying to figure this out, read the book. I read that thing. I've probably read it 8-9 times now. We're almost there. Got to drag a couple more questions out of you guys. Nobody?
I missed a little bit of your introduction initially. Did you say you're in Salem?
I'm in Salem. I'll put my information in the chat box if anybody wants it when we're done here. But yeah, I'm down in Salem. Have been in Salem. One time I moved to Kaiser for like a year and a half. I got scared and came back. Otherwise, I've lived here. Probably the south I've lived is maybe South Salem. That's about it. So yeah, worked in law enforcement for 5 years, and I worked for the Department of Corrections for 18 years. And I was doing Department of Corrections and real estate for 9 of those years.
What did you do for the Department of Corrections?
I was a guard at the prison in the mental health unit.
How did you manage with the 2 careers at the same time? My husband's thinking of joining me and is concerned about that aspect.
I had a couple of advantages for that fact. Is one, we worked in the mental health unit. We worked 3/12s, and I like working graveyard, so I worked 3/12s on graveyard. So when I first started on real estate, so it was really easy for me. I can run on 5-6 hours sleep. It doesn't bother me. So I would only sleep 2 days during that 3-day period. And so that just doesn't, yeah, I'm just one of those people that doesn't bother. So I was able to get a lot done. One of the big things I had to learn, and I find it takes all new agents a lot to learn this, is even whether you have another job or you have other stuff going on, I struggle because I'm like, I couldn't be someplace because I was working or I was doing something for work and things like that. They don't need to know why I can't be. They just need to know I'm not available. We feel as though we need to explain ourselves if we tell a client, I can't do that. I'm just not available, or I have another appointment. They don't have to know that I'm, slopping food at the prison. That's my other appointment, but I'm out for training for that job. Excuse me. They just need to know that I'm unavailable, and they'll respect that. Also, set your hours. I tell all my clients, you will not get a hold of me before 8 a.m. or after 8 p.m. It just ain't going to happen. I'll be happy to answer you between those times, but if you set those hours, you have to stick to them. The first time you answer a text or an email or a phone call after 8 p.m., that client's going to be like, game on. And so then they'll expect it. So the only reason I go till 8 p.m. is I still work with a lot of corrections and they get off at 6. One of the shifts ends at 6. Otherwise, I'd probably cut it off. There are nights I cut it off at 7. I'm just like, I'm done for the day. I'm not even gonna, 7 o'clock, I'm done. So let's see.
Hey, Sean.
What?
Hi, my name is
Hi.
Jane, and I'm with KW Sunset Corridor.
Okay. Yep.
I have a question that it's not related to today's class. And since you have so much experience, I thought you might be able to help me. As a new agent, I am working with some buyers. I'm kind of, in order to entice them to work with me, I'm considering making some concessions on my commission I know it's probably not very popular in the industry, which I understand. That's why I don't get, it's hard for me to get answers for my question at this point.
Yeah,
Uh,
it depends on what way you're doing it. There are certain ways in the state of Oregon you can do that, and there are certain ways in the state of Oregon that are illegal compared to other states. So that would be my first caution to you on that. If you are
Yeah.
saying that you will kick them back some of your commission after close, that is a no-no. You cannot do that in the state of Oregon. That is
I
illegal.
fully understand that.
Okay.
I am thinking
Other states you
about.
can.
Well,
But
I
Oregon-
think that's why I'm asking. Wanted to do it in a legal way. There's no
Hmm.
way I'm going to do it illegally. And I have heard of some ways you can do it legally, but I want some details how to get it started. The reason I'm doing it because as a new agent, I only been here 5-6 years, moving from East Coast, and I don't have a big sphere of influence.
Mhm.
And it's not. I think having production is better than no production, and having 80% of $220,000 is better than 100% of zero. So for that kind of situation, I was told that you can offer credit closing, right? Putting the closing, but how do when do I need to bring that up? I hope it's not in the offer.
No, not in the offer. You are not allowed at any point in time or any way for all of you to put any kind of commission within the EAM, earnest money agreement, the offer.
Exactly.
That's a no-no in the state of Oregon. You can't do that.
That's something that some people said, oh, you cannot do that. Even though if I'm the list agent, I'm going to, really give you a hard time. But however, you shouldn't be able to know until we kind of finish the inspection period, right? So my thinking is, talk to them, asking inspection period is closed, and says, this is what I plan to do, hope you work with me on that, talk with escrow and add an addendum at the end. Is that something you think that accept the way to do it, or you have a better way?
The easiest way to do that, if you're going to do that, I mean, we've done it for like repairs and other things, and just once again, if we get to the closing table and there is, we've run into an issue. I'm kind of in the same mind that you just mentioned. If I've done all this work, I'd rather get, $7,500 instead of $8,500 compared to nothing.
Exactly.
I mean, I can't say I've never done it. We've done it. The easiest way to do that is these days, not a lot of people are paying closing costs. So what you do is you let the leather agent know, and you write it up in an addendum that goes basically that you are going to only take, instead of 2.5% commission, you're going to take 2.25% commission, and that the expectation is that difference goes to the buyer's closing cost. That's the easiest way to do it. If you talk about like you crediting it closed from your commission, that there's a lot of things you have to go through to do that, because it depends on the title, depends on the lender, depends on what the lender approves, because you are affecting the settlement statement, which was the closing numbers, by doing it that way. And so it all depends. The lender may say yes, the lender may say no. Another one, depending on the lender, title may say yes, title may say no, depends on title. So that one's a lot more hoops you have to jump through. Whereas if you just say, hey, I'm instead of 2.5 instead of 3%, I'm taking 2%, and you figure that number out, whatever the difference is, and you say, you write it up that saying they're going to credit them that much at closing. That's the way
the way I want.
That's the cleanest way to do it.
Oh, that's definitely the way that benefit me too, because guess what? Whatever commission I get, as a new agent, actually, I want to get 50% of it. So I definitely don't want the commission to show as a fool. I mean, but when do I approach that?
I would wait further on down the process. I mean, your lenders because the lender's gonna need to know that information, so they're not gonna want to know last minute. But I would, you know, once you get past inspection period, I would say that would be the period. I've always done it last minute because, like I said, it's something that's come up that we're like, this isn't gonna close unless we figure this out. And, you know, I'll give up 500, you as the listing agent, or you as the buyer, give up 500, and we'll make this work and get this closed, so we get bigger checks. So if you're gonna do it, like from the very beginning, I would say after inspection period has been figured out.
Just as I before the settlement dates, probably last week.
If you do it right at the inspection period, you're going to be about a week and a half or 2.5, maybe even 3 weeks before settlement. If you do it right after that, with the way everything's going right now with appraisers and everything. So
Maybe you think after appraisal is better?
no, I would do it after inspection.
After inspection.
Yep.
Great. Thank you so much for giving me
Yep.
that answer.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
All right. I put my information there on the side. If you ever have any questions or ever need anything, I'm always available. I'm one of those agents who's not very good about answering my phone, but I will, because it rings all the time. So I will text or email back, and I will return your phone call. I just don't pick it up a lot to start with sometimes. But I can admit that. I know I have a problem. Anybody else? Questions? Anybody else want to know anything? I've kept you long enough that I won't get yelled at by Mara and threatened and all that good stuff. Nope.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, you guys. You guys have a good day. Good luck.
Thank
And
you.
I will be happy to answer questions. I will.
Thank you so much, Sean.
Thank
That's
you so
great.
much.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Good luck
You
to
too.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Mhm.